If you've got a AGM battery in your car and has been drained down so far that's in deep discharge mode, and you don't have a battery tender to bring it back, but you do have access to a benchtop power supply, here's how you can gently bring it back. So I left my car on without being used for a long time. I totally drained down the battery, and when it couldn't start, I measured it with the multimeter and it was putting out 3.1 volts. I don't have a battery tender, but I do have access to a pretty good power supply that has over voltage, over current protection, and can function in constant current mode. So when you discharge the battery on the AGM, it needs to be brought back gently. And the way that I did this is I set up this benchtop power supply, this Keithley model, and it's very important that you do have over voltage and over current protection on it, and you never want to expose your AGM battery to more than 14.8 volts. This is all the AGM battery manufacturers recommended. BMW recommends it. It's just how the battery chemistry works. So I set my voltage limit to 14.8. If the supply ever supplies more than that, it'll shut off. And I put my current limit on this unit to 1/10 of the battery current capacity. So the battery is an 80 amp hour battery. So I don't want to charge it more than a 10% of that capacity rate. So the current limit is set to 8 amps. Now, the setting for the power supply is actually constant current. You can see it here. So what I wanted to do is bring it out really gently, and I'm bringing it up by charging it at a 4 amp rate, and that is 5% of the battery capacity, so half of the 8 amp limit. So I put it to supply 4 amps, and then it'll provide enough voltage to be able to sustain a 4 amp current draw. Now, when I first plugged it in, it was charging up at probably around 4 to 5 volts. That was last night, about 12 hours ago. But it was drawing the 4 amps. At that time, you could kind of hear the ECU, a relay around the ECU clicking as the electronics were trying to turn on the car, but there wasn't enough current being provided by the battery. But overnight, it slowly went up to about 12 volts, and it's been charging up to its steady state point. So the way that I have it set, I'll show you on my current limits, is 4 amps, and then the voltage is set is set to 14.4 volts. So as the battery got brought up, it could start holding better charge, so the power supply had to bring up the voltage, and now it's running at 14.4 volts. It's actually reaching its stable charge current. It's still charging gently at 4 volts, and this has worked out for me. It's a pretty funny situation that you gotta be in, that you don't have a battery tender for this, but you do have access to a pretty nice power supply. This is, you don't need one this good. This is actually a pretty expensive one, like $2,500 proper electronic development supply. But I just got it plugged in, and then I have the leads coming through, and I actually didn't even have clamps. So I had these eyelet leads that I connected using these are electrical clamps for our knockout box, but they work perfectly because they allowed me to grip that eyelet very securely, and they also connected to the battery terminal post very securely. So this is the setup. I don't know how many other people are going to be in this situation with the dead battery. No battery tender, no jumper cables, but you got a power supply, but this works.